Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL team preview. We're taking a look at the Seattle Seahawks. We're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams to see what we can expect from the Seahawks this upcoming season.
What a rookie year for Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson last season. Aside from all of the great stats, what was most impressive all year long was the leadership and poise he showed game after game. Wilson never looked flustered and always was in control of the situation. And as the Seahawks continue to build around him, he'll just get better and better. Once again, showing you what he did at Wisconsin was exactly what he did for Seattle. This position is set for the next 12 to 15 years with Russell Wilson back there at the quarterback position. Marshawn Lynch ran like a man possessed last season, almost going over 1,600 yards at an even 5 yards a carry. He went full beast mode on opposing defenses, but what's most underrated about his game is his ability to catch the football. The Seahawks have to find a way to get him involved more so in the passing game. Last year's rookie Robert Turbin put in some good work last season, showing similar skills to Lynch, and he'll have to hold off incumbent rookie Christian Michael out of Texas A&M, who shows excellent burst and runs with toughness. He can see time not only in the backfield but also as a kickoff returner. At fullback, Michael Robinson is a very good lead blocker and is also a good special teamer. He'll get pushed by 6th-round pick Spencer Ware, who's a running back in a fullback's body, and he'll look to see some minutes as well. So this is a running back core that's stockpiled with 5 players with similar talents, but one that's a very good one nonetheless. The Seahawks have a dependable receiving core that made life easier for a rookie quarterback last season. Sidney Rice led the unit with 50 receptions for over 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. His height and ability to sacrifice his body gives Wilson a wide radius to throw the football. Now, Golden Tate is a guy that does a lot of damage underneath, as a former one-time college running back is also dangerous after the catch. And Doug Baldwin has shown potential to be a big play vertical threat and should find himself getting more opportunities this year. But as dependable as they were last season, they weren't explosive, and not one breakaway threat was on the roster. That's why the Hawks traded its first-round pick this year to Minnesota for the super dynamic Percy Harvin. Harvin is a player that can be utilized all over the football field and instantly adds that breakaway element to the offense. In the draft, they also selected Chris Harper out of Kansas State, who has some of the best hands in the draft and was a master at making the contested catch. At the tight end position, Zach Miller became a more viable option as the season progressed, catching 38 passes for almost 400 yards. The Hawks really need to develop a second option at that position, especially after losing Anthony McCoy in the offseason, who was starting to emerge as a threat. Look for last year's undrafted rookie free agent Sean McGrath out of Henderson State to make a move up the depth chart, as he has some of the best hands on the squad. This unit is still dependable, but still lacks the overall game-breaking ability aside from Percy Harvin, but they took steps in the right direction this offseason. The Seahawks have 2 studs up front in what is a very solid offensive line. Left tackle Russell Okung made his first Pro Bowl last season after putting together a season in which he was consistently good each and every week. The same can be said for center Max Unger, who's also made his first Pro Bowl and was named first-team All-Pro. Everywhere else on the offensive line, there's questions, not regarding the talent, but more of a question of who's going to start. I guess that's a good problem to have when you look at the guard position. 4 guys could see starting nods at some point during the season. On the left side, you have 2 2011 draft picks in James Carpenter and John Moffitt. Both are good prospects, and Carpenter has struggled with injuries, and Moffitt was replaced as a starter by J.R. Sweezy, who's competing on the right side with 7-year vet Paul McQuiston. You follow me? McQuiston started all 16 games last year and is a very good player. Any combination of the 4 would be fine, but it's all about consistency and continuity up front. They got to find that. The right tackle spot is being held by Bruno Giacomini, who's solid in the run game but struggles in pass protection, and he'll get pushed by 7th-round pick Michael Bowie, a 6'4", 335-pound player out of Northeastern State. First quarter of the season will be a huge test for the depth of the Seattle Seahawks defensive line. The Hawks may be without Chris Clemens, who tore his ACL in the divisional playoff game last season, and excellent rookie Bruce Irvin because of a 4-game suspension. They'll look to free agent signees Cliff Averill, who racked up 39.5 sacks in his 6-year career with the Detroit Lions, and Michael Bennett, who's coming off his best season in Tampa Bay with 9 sacks. Both guys will see a lot of action opposite of Red Bryant, who looks to be 100% and ready to regain his 2011 form. On the interior, you have Brandon McBain, who was, as usual, very impressive, getting in on over 50 stops and 3 sacks. He'll be joined by free agent signee Tony McDaniel from the Miami Dolphins, and they still have quality depth on the inside to get that rotation going with Jay Howard and Clinton McDonald. Also keep an eye on rookie 5th round pick Jesse Williams, who's in the mold of Red Bryant and could see a lot of time in obvious run situations. He's a versatile player that can play multiple spots on that defensive line and is very strong at the point of attack. So the question is whether or not the depth that they have on the roster can step up in the first quarter of the season for this unit to be effective. About week 6 is where you should see these guys really start to take off, as they're starting to get those key players back like Clemens and also Bruce Irvin. The linebacking core is led by second-year player Bobby Wagner, who had a sensational season last year as a rookie, finishing first on the team in tackles with 139 and also chipped in with 3 interceptions. Wagner displayed the same instincts and leadership that he showed at Utah State, which made him one of the better linebackers in the country. Strong side backer KJ Wright was also stellar in his second season, putting his coverage skills on display all year long. Both should push for Pro Bowl bids this year. The depth is a huge concern, as well as the weak side linebacker spot, as guys like Malcolm Smith, who has the inside track, and Heath Farwell will compete for the job. The sleeper would be 7th round pick Ty Powell out of Harding. He was a defensive end in college, but has the versatility to be either a middle linebacker or a weak side back, so I think he may end up being the guy. So overall, what you'll see is a revolving door on the weak side until one guy steps up and takes complete ownership of the position. So this is a slight question mark heading into the 2013 season for the Seahawks. It's no secret that the Seahawks had the best secondary in the league last year and looks to be even better in 2013. The Hawks are armed with 2 of the better corners in the game in Richard Sherman, who's all-pro play, led the team with 8 interceptions, and Brandon Browner, whose 6'4", 225-pound frame makes it tough for quarterbacks to complete passes on them. They also add in free agency veteran cornerback Antoine Winfield, who will handle the nickel duties and is also an excellent blitzer coming off the edge. And there's still some good depth behind these guys with last year's rookie Jeremy Lane and 4th-year player Walter Thurman. But in the draft, the Hawks selected Darryl Simon out of LSU. He's a tall corner at 6'2", 200 pounds. He's in the mold of Richard Sherman and has the excellent ball skills. He could also steal some playing time from both Lane and Thurman. And at the safety spot, they have 2 excellent options. Earl Thomas is one of the better free safeties in the game, and we know about his ball skills and his ability to cover wide receivers, but what's underrated is how effective he is in the run defense department. And at the strong safety position, you have Cam Chancellor, who's an excellent player as well, 6'4", 225 pounds. This is a guy that's built like a linebacker back there, but actually can run with tight ends and wide receivers and does an excellent job in coverage. The question about this unit is the depth behind both Thomas and Chancellor. That's something that's going to have to be solved and worked out before the season starts. In the special teams department, kicker Stephen Hauschka is a very solid kicker, but doesn't have the long distance type of range. Only went 1 of 4 from kicks from 50 plus. That could be the issue moving forward. And when you look at punter John Ryan, you look at a guy that does a great job getting height on his kicks. That hang time is important, as it allows the coverage units to get down there and make a play. And there could be a slight question mark about the return units, as Leon Washington is no longer on the roster. So they could look to a couple of guys that handle duties both as a kickoff returner and a punt returner, maybe Golden Tate, Percy Harvin, or even a rookie Christian Michael out of Texas A&M. Now let's take a look at what the Seahawks have on the roster. Number 1, they have a dominating running game. They can go 5 deep at that position. They have a stud at quarterback. We've talked about Russell Wilson and what he means to this offense, and a very intimidating defense at every level, D-line, linebackers, and also in the secondary. And you look at what the Seahawks lack. Number 1, they don't have the depth at linebacker as well as the depth at safety. That could rear its ugly head later on in the season as attrition starts to take over, and they don't have threatening double tight end sets. You think with a team that can run the football like they can, it would have 2 tight ends that are equally as threatening, not only in the running game but also in the passing game. That's some things that they lack on this roster right now. Reason for optimism for the Seahawks: you look at a football team that made the playoffs last year and came within 1 drive of going to the NFC Championship game against a familiar foe in the San Francisco 49ers. So now you add more offensive weapons around Russell Wilson, and you also keep the same key components on this roster. This could be a very dangerous team moving forward. The cause for concern for Seattle would be if they struggle in the first 4 games. You look at teams that they have to play: Carolina, San Francisco, Houston, they may miss those pieces like a Bruce Irvin, or maybe if Chris Clemens can't come back early, that would be the concern if they can't get through those first 4 games with at least a 3-1 record. The road to the Super Bowl for the Seahawks goes as follows. Weather the first quarter storm. Remember, we talked about it just a few seconds ago about the first 4 games of the season and what they will be without. 2, find an offensive line group that works. You have to be consistent, and they have to have continuity up front. There's talent, but you need the continuity to be effective. And don't lose sight of your identity. Remember, this is a run-based football team that operates well off play action, yet you have to stay creative. You added new pieces with Percy Harvin, Chris Harper. You can get creative, but don't lose your identity, and they can find themselves in East Rutherford in February. I have the Seahawks finishing first in the NFC West. I see a well-balanced team top to bottom. They can run the football, which means they can control the clock. Defensively, they can get after the quarterback, and they have an excellent secondary, and this is a passing league. You need secondary players that can make plays on the ball, and they have that back there so they can match up well with anyone. And we look at the offensive pieces, adding Percy Harvin, expanding the passing game is going to make things a lot easier for Russell Wilson in year 2. And right now, I think their offense is slightly better than the San Francisco 49ers. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Seahawk fan forums for always showing football game plan support.